Hello everyone, my name is Terry Rooch and this is Serious Automotive Training. Welcome back to a great module of mine dealing with General Motors Service Technology Group. The information I supply to you is direct from GM training, as I was a GM ASAP instructor at two different GM ASAP schools. So the information I have comes directly from years of teaching GM technicians, along with the reference material that I'm going to be showing to you along the way. So this is the first of many videos that will be continue for technicians that work on General Motors vehicles, or if you're just doing your ASE certification, you need to be familiar with some of the coursework that we're going to cover to help you pass your ASE exam. So to begin, you need to get a hold of me. Reach out to me at seriousautomotivetraining@yahoo.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Terry Rooch, or just follow me on YouTube and watch my videos I upload usually weekly. So let us begin. Today we're going to talk about fuel injector diagnosis. So GM fuel injectors, we're going to talk about some easy ways to diagnose them. We're going to get into the 39021 tool. We'll tell you how to do the coil test. I'll talk about the reference material, look at a breakdown of an injector, illustrate to you how the injector works, and again, we're going to use the 39021 to give you a real good breakdown of how to diagnose these injectors. So, to begin, reference material all you have is STG, Service Technology Group training manuals that come from GM schools. You could get these on eBay, or you could get them from GM Direct. Dealers have them all listed everywhere. So, the course that I'm going to talk about today is 1616009. The books are 0.10, 0.0, 0.02, and 0.07. So these books, hey, they're excellent information. eBay's your best source. Type the number in, it'll come right up. Next thing we talk about is the computer-based training that we reflected here for a second from the screen. I probably have about 80 CDs, computer-based GM training. They work off a Windows-based system. Just use a memory stick, put the installation disk in, bam, run each disk one at a time. Excellent source. So, any questions on how to installing this information or where to get it from, just again, reach out to me. I'm always available. So, let's start with a basic injector. This is a GM Bosch injector. They're rated at 16 ohms. So right out of the box, across the two leads on the injector, you should be reading 16 ohms on your meter. The first basic test that I like to do for any injector, take a resistance reading. Usually it's the one that's close to the EGR valve that's cooked. So it'll tell you if it's open, if it's shorted, bam, right off the bat. So, breakdown of our Bosch injector. We have two O-rings. We have the fuel sealing side on the top, under pressure, and underneath we have the intake side. So they're usually different colors, different sizes. Lubricate them when you put them in, and don't reuse them, okay? Do they crack? I've never seen them crack. Could they be ripped from installation? Of course. Could they leak? Sure, they could leak. They get hardened over years. So this is where you have the problem today. 10, 15 years ago, the vehicle computers weren't that fast, so they couldn't pick up these shark bites, these little surges and misses like the computers of today. Imagine 25 years ago what it was like to find a miss. Okay, so these are the tools. This thing works great. Pick up an injector for you, no problem. So, a lot of moving parts here. A lot of places fuel could contaminate. Hey, the electromagnetic windings could go bad. So coming back through here, we have there's a filter screen at the top. Could it get dirty? Bad fuel? Absolutely. Fuel's good for 1 year. So they say. So sure, it could turn into varnish, no problem. The magnetic winding in here, shorted out. Absolutely. Weak? Sure. We're going to check all this with the tool. Next, we have the solenoid here. That's the contact. That's the moving part that's just like on your starter on your car. Needle valve underneath here. This controls the fuel movement out of the injector or through the injector. And at the bottom, we have the nozzles. Sometimes you see these clogged. You take an injector out, look underneath. Boom. There's dirt inside there. So, a lot of people say you could set them in the engine oil supplement. A little cleaner, clean them out. Sure you could, but hey, the real test is right here inside the coil. Okay? Now, Let's look at an injector on our service technology training here, our computer-based training. Beautiful pattern coming out of that injector. You can see it's mounted with an O-ring at the plenum side here. That won't allow any lower pressure to allow air to be pulled in. And up from the top up here would be, on the fuel rail, that would be the top O-ring. So real important that the O-rings are in great condition. I've seen O-rings leak air and not leak fuel. So the leads across the top, again, the blades. The first test you want to do is isolate what type injector you have. The book will break it down for you, but always verify just by doing a resistance check. Okay, so let's take a look at the reference manual here for the 39021. And for this particular vehicle, I didn't bring an injector in. Obviously, I don't want too much fuel in my hands with my beautiful, pretty striped shirt. But for my vehicle, I have a 1993 Corvette LT5 with the ZR1 option. 6,739 Corvettes from 90 to 95 were built with a Lotus engine, 32 valve, 4 cam, with a 6-speed, optional 6-speed manual transmission. Top speed 179 miles an hour. Okay, so let's look at an injector for that 5.7 LT5. So it gives you the injector number, it even gives you the engine VIN, which is a J. So the first column tells you coil test amp supply. What that means is when you take the tool's going to have two sides, coil test, balance test. We're going to do the coil test. So with that number, the tool gets hooked up to your battery source. Could be a jumper pack, could be the vehicle battery, could be another vehicle. It'll tell you if the battery is low for the test. It tells you when it's ready to be tested. And then when you do the test itself, it'll tell you test in progress. Okay, real simple. So the tool, to utilize the tool, eliminate the fuel pressure, pull the fuse, pull the relay, drain the fuel pressure, whatever you got to do, get rid of the fuel pressure. Make sure the vehicle injector is between 50 and 95 degrees, so room temperature, hey, New York or Florida, whichever one you prefer. The tool comes with separate leads of different types of injectors. This particular lead right on the end goes right into my LT5 injector. No problem. I don't even have to lay on the engine. Stick it in. Lights on. I have it on the 1/2 amp scale according to the book. Now, 2 voltmeter leads. My Fluke meter goes on voltage. Both leads go in. The object of the game here is for you to get a voltage reading. So the voltage window goes with the injector. So according to mine, it should be 5.7, which happens to be the cubic inch of the engine, and 6.6, which is my next vehicle, the Duramax. So 5.7 volts to 6.6 is the window of voltage we're looking for on our Fluke meter. So after it's hooked up, injector plugged in, vehicle's powered off, fuel pressure is eliminated, room temperature, hit the button. You hit the button, you could either have your Fluke meter on min-max record, or you could just be looking at the scale. So when you pulse that injector, it's going to give you a voltage reading. The reading has to be in between, for the LT5, 5.7 and 6.6 volts, which is pretty much every 5.7 engine, okay, for this particular injector. Now, we have a subtracted value, 0.6 volts. So GM says, hey, because of the integrity of the tool, the voltage drop of the cable, and everything else going into effect, and temperature changing as you're doing the test, take that all into effect, we're going to give you a subtracted value. So for whatever reading you get from your meter, take 0.6 volts off of that. So we're going to move to the left. We're going to slide to the left a little bit. So again, 1/2 amp is our test current. Meter hooked up. We're looking for the voltage window, 5.7 to 6.6. Remember, it takes 0.6 of a volt, 0.6, 600 millivolts. Take that off of your reading and set it in the window. If it's too low, you have a bad injector. If it's too high, you have a bad injector. So, excellent tool. Every time you do a tune-up, you could replace a set of plugs. You could even change wire set. But that's only going to give you so much performance back into that cylinder. But it could still hide that little fish bite that you feel under load, 1400 RPM, 55, 60 miles an hour. You feel that little snag. That could be your injector falling out. So bam, right here, the winding test. Your computer in those vehicles are too slow. Lab scope may pick it up on the highway. Right here, excellent tool. Pulse the injector, get the reading, fail it, or pass it. So, you go back here, again, inside the injector, any type of clogged, weak, or terminal connection, for that fact, is going to distort this spray pattern. The spray pattern here is beautiful. It's affected by everything inside the injector. It's affected by the fuel coming in or the air leak on the bottom side. So a lot of moving stuff here. Again, you want the injector tight. Make sure the O-rings are good, nice fit, clean when you put them in. All this comes into play. Okay, so let's just back up here for 2 seconds and just cover the basics one more time. Utilizing 39021, you're going to use the fuel injector tester. Great tool. Came in the GM port fuel kit. These kits are available on eBay. You can find them for 120 bucks. No problem. It comes with all the accessories, all the adapters for every injector. We'll cover more of the stuff in the next video. I just want to cover the coil test today for the fuel injector diagnosis. Okay? Again, reference material was the GM training manuals that I have accumulated, hundreds of them over the years. Okay? So these are actual courses, and if you want any of these books, eBay is your best source. So the course for this would have been 16009.1. That would have been a GM course, probably GM port fuel injection class. It was a 4-day course, I believe, back at the time. So for the Bosch injector, I just wanted to recap what we covered. The injector we used was a 16 ohm right out of the box. So if you don't know what the injector's for or what type it is, or if you don't have the book for that model year, there is a breakdown in here, resistance to what you should set your injector at. So if you don't have the correct book for the model year, bam, it'll tell you which one to use. It's in the book here. It's just kind of the less the resistance, the more the current. Okay, nice little chart. So again, we use the STC Service Technical College. I still call it Service Technology Group information to let you know how to utilize the tool to check the internal workings of a GM Bosch fuel injector. Okay, so again, any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn at Terry Rooch. You could email me at SeriousAutoTraining at yahoo.com, or just follow me on YouTube and give me a shout out to any questions you have referring to more of the GM training that we'll be putting out as we go forward. Again, have a great day. My name is